Welcome to Grid Training. I'm going to demonstrate what makes the grid a fast way to create a lot of chart notes quickly. The grid is also the fastest way to convert paper notes to high-quality digital chart notes that can be saved, edited, or converted to summaries when you close a patient's record. The charting method used in this example is called charting by exception, also called CBE. CBE effectively supports federal minimum necessary information requirements. The minimum necessary standard, which can be found under the umbrella of the privacy rule, is a requirement that covered entities take all reasonable steps to make sure that protected health information is only accessed to the minimum amount necessary to complete the tasks at hand. The CBE standard is this. Does this document tell the minimum necessary story of the patient's condition, a psychotherapist's professional assessment, and appropriate care? CBE is sufficient if the treatment plan calls for a service pattern that is largely consistent from one session to the next. CBE is also sufficient if changes in the patient's record can be noted when there is a deviation from the treatment plan, the usual practice pattern, patient baseline, expected outcome, or when a service in a treatment plan is not provided in that session. On my screen is an example of a patient chart note. I'm going to show you how to create 4 more chart notes. To create 4 copies of a chart note, you need to select the number 4 in the field next to the word Add. Next, press the button Copies of the last note after last one. After pressing that button, you can see that 4 copies have been made. Based on the provider's notes, the provider can now edit these records, making sure they are complete and legible. The next thing I want to show you is how to edit a cell. We can use any cell, but I want to edit the intake summary. First, scroll down to the category titled Intake Summary. Next, click on the Select button to open your options window. You can see the options already selected in the intake summary. Press Select to close the drop-down. Next, left-click on the cell that contains the selected options. Then right-click on the Enable Editing. You can now edit the text. I am going to type the patient's mother, lives with the patient. How you save the edits is a matter of preference, but there are many ways to save your edits. My favorite is to click on the Select button again. Or if you want, you can right-click and select Save. Now I am going to show you how to remove your edits. First, left-click on the cell that you want to remove your edits. Then, right-click on the cell. This will open a drop-down. To remove your edit, select the option titled Remove Edited Items and enable Select. Doing this will remove all the edits and changes to that cell. As a personal preference, some providers want the intake summary in every chart note. Other providers would prefer to leave subsequent notes blank. The grid has the ability to erase every option in a cell and every cell to the right of that cell. Here is how you can delete all the content of a cell and all the cells to the right of that cell. First, left-click in the cell you want to delete. Then right-click to open the drop-down. Then select the option Clear All till the end of the row. A pop-up will appear warning you that this will clear all the content. Press OK if you want to proceed. You will get a second warning. If you press Yes, this will clear all the options to the right of the cell. The grid has some useful copy functions. For example, you can copy the content in a specific cell to the right of that cell. Here is how to do that. First, left-click in the cell you want to copy. Then right-click to open the drop-down. Then select the option Copy once to the right. A pop-up will appear warning you that this will copy the selected content once to the right. If you are sure you want to do that, press OK to proceed. You can see now that the content was copied. What if you want to copy the content in a specific cell to every cell to the right? Here is how to do that. First, left-click in the cell you want to copy. Then right-click to open the drop-down. Then select the option Copy till the end of the row. A pop-up will appear warning you that this will overwrite the value till the end of the row. If you are sure you want to do that, press Yes. You can see now that the content was copied. Earlier, we stated that charting by exception is sufficient as a charting system, especially if the treatment plan calls for a service pattern that is largely consistent from one session to the next. If there is a significant change, then the change should be noted. A provider will decide if what they observed or did is significantly different and necessary to document. The grid is not a cookie-cutter charting system. Providers must review each note. They are not required to change a note unless they determine that changes in the chart are necessary to tell the minimum necessary story of the patient's condition, their professional assessment, and appropriateness of care provided. The level of detail, as well as any documentation in a chart note, must consider that patients, physicians, and other people, external to the treatment provided, may gain access to a patient's records. Healthcare documentation is intended to support a patient's care. Providers should stick to the task at hand and avoid documentation that patients may find unnecessary, confusing, inaccurate, offensive, or harmful.